So season 4 of My Hero Academia begins with this episode in full throttle, introducing the main villain of the arc, Overhaul, and boy, is this a doozy. Like, this guy radiates tension, and I think they did an excellent job with him, but we'll get into him in a second. The episode starts off with Midori asking Gran Torino if he could do his work study with him, which he denies because he is too busy. So he says, hey, talk to All Might, and he can get Night Eye to do it. But come to find out, we will get into Night Eye in a second, but I want to talk about Overhaul. Like, this is one instance where I have actually read the manga, and I'm not going to spoil it, but seeing this adaptation after having read the manga, this is pretty much exactly how I imagined that this scene should go. Like, his introduction, this is exactly how I felt while reading it, and like the tension that you could cut with the butter between Shigaraki and Overhaul was awesome. And like, these guys are meeting and they have zero communication with each other, apparently. Because Shigaraki's like, hey, you're gonna come and join my cause because, I'm building up this army of supervillains, and this is the League of Villains. And as we've seen in the series, Shigaraki doesn't have the greatest track record since he's always lost. But it's interesting that they bring up what All For One says. Hey, you know what? And it's actually a great thing that we can bring into our own lives too. Just don't do evil things, guys, okay? So he's like, you know what, Shigaraki, no matter how many times it takes, just keep trying, get yourself back up there and get back on that horse, so to speak. So Overhaul has a different thing in mind, and he is basically like, no, you guys join me. I'm the leader here. You're a terrible leader. Like, you lose every time you try anything. And I think it's interesting because Shigaraki summoned the Nomus in season 2 when he was mad at Stain for stabbing him. And then Stain just outshined him in the Nomus, and he was super frustrated about that. And we see some character growth for Shigaraki here. Instead of immediately going after Overhaul for killing the Magnet guy, which, oh my god. Speaking of the Magnet guy, like, I remember that scene in the manga, and I'm like, oh man, this guy's super dangerous. But I didn't remember who the Magnet guy was, but now I do. So, like, seeing his death in here is much more impactful now that I remember who he is. But, oh man, that guy was cool. He had a cool power. But we see, like, Overhaul just, like, kills the guy. He just kills him. And then the magic guy swoops in. Shigaraki's like, no, stop, don't be hasty. And we see that Shigaraki is actually learning from not being too hasty. And Overhaul actually criticizes him and not having a plan, and Shigaraki's like, you know what, I didn't have a plan with the Nomus. This time I'm gonna get revenge on this guy. Like you can tell that that's what he's thinking. I'm gonna go after this guy, but if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna have a plan. But yeah, so that whole scene was, the tone of that whole scene was awesome. I loved everybody's performance. Like, you can feel that everybody was just on edge there and ready to attack at any second. Then Overhaul's whole group kind of busts in. So what I found very interesting in this was when the magic guy was going to attack, his quirk would not work, and there was somewhat subtle of like this little bullet thing that this guy from Overhaul's group, he had a gun, so he like shot him with this bullet thing, and then subsequently Magic Eye couldn't use his quirk. So it's very interesting and actually helping to build up plot in a very efficient way. We're getting a very good introduction to Overhaul. We're seeing a glimpse of his power. We're actually showing a little bit of what he wants and a little bit of his power. So we're getting a glimpse. We're not getting the whole thing, which, holding off on the whole thing, you don't want to like blow your load on your whole villain right at the get-go. You want to reveal little by little as the story progresses to keep everything intriguing. And I think this episode did a really good job of introducing him, and actually did a really good job of introducing him in terms of an adaptation from the manga chapter. So we finally move on to that, to Midoriya. Interesting little growth here for him, in that, you know, how he wants to become a hero and just kind of follow in the footsteps of All Might and be a hero with a smile no matter what. He's kind of refining it due to his experiences, and like his mother, I think, is a really big influence in this because of how worried she is, and he's actually starting to think of other people now, and he's like, you know what, I need to be more careful, I need to become stronger, so that people don't feel the need to worry about me. I want to become that strong. You know, obviously people will still worry about him a little bit, but then he goes to All Might, and All Might's like, he has some more growth too. He's like, you know, Midoriya, I've been real lenient on you, letting you do whatever you want, but this work study thing might not be the best idea. But he also has personal what do you call that, motivations for not wanting to talk to Night Eye, and I guess we will get to those in subsequent episodes when we learn more about Night Eye and everything like that. But this is a very good way of integrating Mirio into the story, the Shadow Cat like dude who can go phase through objects and stuff, and he's like insanely skilled, as we saw last season. But it's a really cool way of integrating him. So him and Midoriya are going to Night Eye's place, and I thought this next part was insanely interesting. We have Bubble Girl, and she couldn't make Night Eye laugh, so then he puts her in this tickle torture machine, and this super serious looking dude he needs somebody to make him laugh in order to accept them. So Midoriya shows up, and he does this stupid All Might impression, and Night Eye just takes it the complete wrong way. And this totally reminded me of Dragon Ball with King Kai. Remember when Goku arrived at King Kai's place, he had to make King Kai make King Kai laugh before he would accept to train him. And Piccolo's was the funniest one. When Piccolo arrived, he just had to get the other guys to tell him a joke so that he could tell it to King Kai. So that was really awesome. So we're left basically with a cliffhanger, and I guess that's all I have to say about the episode. I thought it was good. I thought it was a really good adaptation of the manga chapter so far. Everything looked good for the most part. I noticed some somewhat off-model stuff, but that's not a huge deal. But as always, thank you very much for watching. Drop your thought waves down in the comments below, and take it easy.